Welcome to the Big Biz Show. Taking care of business. You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you are watching, wherever you're listening, welcome to the Big Biz Show. Another glorious day here inside the Loft 100 studios. It's me, Costa, and it's our executive producer, Mr. Greg Todorov.
How we doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. Our wish has come true. We got rid of the other two.
Oh, we got the whole place to ourselves.
All place to ourselves. And we also have the greatest in the business, the DTT.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our market analyst on this fine program is Mr. Howie Font, and he joins us once again from the Big Apple. Or the X Stories, it reminds me of the X Stories every time I hear his theme. Yeah. Howard, how are you, my friend?
I'm happy to be at the Cool Kids table.
Oh, right, look at this. We're going to throw a party.
Yes. You pray hard enough, your wishes eventually do come true. Howie, what are the wishes like right now for movie theater group AMC?
Yeah, so AMC is famous because just like GameStop, it kind of had this big moment in the markets.
Right.
But interestingly enough, it has more kind of a viable, well-known business on top of it. So it does some screwy things in the stock market, but I wanted to talk today about them announcing that they're moving from just a little under 10% of their screens being the normal, I don't know, $8-9 tickets to the premium seats. They're moving those all the way to 25% by 2027. And that's probably about as fast as they can build them. So if they could do it faster, they would.
And is that going to involve like gourmet food and all, better offerings either at the snack bar or like in-seat dining like some boutique movie theaters have?
I mean, I would hope so, but no. I think this is mostly just getting the bigger chairs in, the 270 degrees of vision, larger screens, the different sound system. Some of these seats shake or whatever for the big blockbuster movies. So it's things like that. It doesn't have anything to do with kind of the classier places. Yeah, I mean, there are some classy places in New York and San Diego that are like basically restaurants and also a movie theater. This is not that. Yeah.
Greg, what's the last time you went to?
So it's more 4D, I think, is what they call it. Isn't that right, Howie? When you actually experience the things that are happening, if the wind is blowing or that sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah. The industry term, I guess, that they're using is premium format screens, but the marketing is the real 4D or things like that. Yeah.
So if somebody burps tuna salad in the movie, you get it right in your face.
Yeah, you get a nice.
All right. Yeah, I want to pay $25 for that. When was the last time you were in the theater? Movie theater.
Great question. Probably maybe 6 months ago.
Oh, okay. As recent as that.
Yeah.
Howie, what about you? Are you a movie goer?
Yeah, I admit to it. I'll go see the big blockbuster stuff just to relax, and I always go. I'm a lone theater goer. I can't go with anyone else. I don't like side chatter. People talking or using their phone at the movies is against humanity to me. So
how was the Snow White remake? Pretty good?
Yeah, was that good? Would you recommend it?
Oh, it's my third or fourth viewing. What are you talking about?
Howie's sitting by himself. Officers, he's right over there in the corner of the theater.
Very quiet room.
I love it. Howie, always appreciate it, my friend. Thanks for joining us here once again on the Big Biz Show. We'll talk to you soon.
Good to see you guys.
All right, that's our market analyst, Howie Font. I have not been to a theater in easily 3-4 years.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Not even Sinopolis here locally, where you get the nice chairs and you get the nice food and the whole deal?
Yeah, the loft? Nope, haven't done it.
None of that?
No. All right, keep it right here. This is theater. This is where you want to be as the Big Biz Show continues. All right. The Loft 100 Studios, whoever you're watching, wherever you are in this wide world of ours. Welcome back to the Big Biz Show. Our executive producer is Greg Todorov, that handsome gent right there. I'm Costa, standing in for Sully. Of course, the gentleman on stage, best in the business, Day Trader Trio. Always along for the ride with us as well. Thanks, guys. Our market analyst is Howie Font. He is back with us. Here, we are talking about Trace is in the background doing jazz hands as the music comes on for Howie. Howie, the theater world and how AMC is trying to, I guess, stay relevant, stay afloat. How would you describe them with the changes they're making?
I think it's important to talk about it in the context of inflation, right? So the normal theater demands what, like a $8-9 ticket?
Yeah.
You're not getting into a 4D premium seat for $17 on average nationally. So it has to do with that. And then I just note, some things are really stable, rice or something like consumer staples. But tuition for colleges and apparently movie tickets have increased, 129% over and above inflation. In the last 25. I think I told you guys 35. It's the last 25 years.
Wow.
So it is
put inflation on top of everything, and then 130%.
Exactly.
So,
but isn't stuff like going to the movies or we always say fast food dining out? Aren't those the first things that normally we as consumers cut when the belt tightening has to take place, like we might be experiencing right now in our country?
No, I mean, I think that's exactly right. And that's why they're, one, so cyclical as businesses, really dependent on the consumer, as you said, so really dependent on the macroeconomy. And then two, the box office in general is going down, so they have to charge higher and higher ticket prices just to kind of maintain the levels. I mean, we're not back to where we were in terms of box office compared to pre-pandemic, 2019. So will they ever recover? Will it ever be the same? You have streaming now. I just thought it was a good example to see, what the average consumer could have done a decade or two ago that is getting more and more out of reach now.
Well, Howie Font is our Big Biz Show market analyst with us here. Howie, the NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball will never be able to catch up to or surpass the home experience. I mean, you've got people like us who love to go to games once in a while, that type of thing, but being at your own house, using your own clean bathroom, buying your own less expensive beer or food and stuff, the sporting leagues, the major league sporting leagues and collegiates, college athletics for that matter, they'll never be able to surpass that. And do you think movie theaters, movie chains, those type of movie houses know that's kind of what they're competing with, that the home experience, streaming, whatever, having it at your fingertips is something that they'll never be able to catch?
Yeah, I think the middle section of product offerings is always going to be squeezed. So you have the really, really cheap option that gets you in the door, the minimum, and then it only makes sense to do the high margin, really nice experience. I'm going out because this is an event. I want to go to the movies because, they're going to treat me right. I like the chair. This is a big movie for me. But if it's just another thing that I'm going to watch on a Tuesday night, I guess I'll just use the streaming service. Or, with sports, you go to the Super Bowl, you don't go to some, third-rate college.
If you're going to spend your money, you're right. Spend your money on the big ticket that you're going to remember instead of just some arbitrary game. We've been talking about tariffs. We've been talking about recession. We've been talking about inflation. Financially right now in this country, should we, as consumers, be thinking it's going to get better or it's going to get worse before it gets better?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I think if you're in one of these protected industries, you're going to have a couple good years. So we talked a couple months ago about the ports. They have new deals that are protecting their salaries for the next couple of years. The auto workers unions right now are very, very happy because of the tariff conversation. So if you've been in a kind of beat up industry, then you might see a couple years of relief. If you don't believe the tariffs are long term going to work or be part of anything, that's a one-time boost, and then it's going away. And then all those boosts come at the expense of everyone in general in terms of prices. So, if the price of all food goes down by 5% in the country, that's a savings to everyone in the country. But if you make more money and everyone else's food prices go up, yes, you are better off, but it's a balancing act. So that's kind of the dynamic that's happening here.
The tariffs that Canada and Mexico, China for that matter, levy against us, or we know there's a trade deficit. It's grossly unfair. The tariffs that President Trump and his administration are going to or have already levied against those three countries, we hear Canada talking tough. Oh, it doesn't matter, we'll be fine. Mexico, doesn't matter, we'll be fine. China says the same thing. But how rough will it get for them if these are prolonged, in your estimation?
Yeah, so one of the advantages that we have, and one of the reasons why this is a good fight to pick for the U.S., notwithstanding the market reaction, is we're a services-based industry. We do things for each other, and that's how we make money and move our economy. We don't make stuff to the extent that China and Mexico do. Canada's more similar to us, but they have some agricultural products and energy products that we definitely need and want. So it's really going to hurt a country like China that is very manufacturing dependent. Their whole economy is based on the prices of the stuff that they sell to us and the rest of the world, and we're their biggest trading partner. So it's going to be a blow. And then for us, the reciprocal nature of the tariffs, I would hate to be on the other end. If you're a farmer and you have a 15% increase in prices in China, you're going to sell less soy and wheat to China, but they can't hurt us beyond that.
So in the case of, let's say, Canada and Mexico, who basically north and south of us are our next door neighbors, is it just a very quiet white flag, a back channel? Okay, we give up. We'll come back to the negotiating table with you guys. Or do you think those two countries are going to see how far they can go and really feel the sting, in fact, before they come to us and say, time to talk?
I think if there's one clear ask, if there's a definite proposal that's put forward by the Trump administration, they probably fight for just giving them 70% of what the administration asked for, and then they call it a day. I think everyone at the table right now, Europe, Mexico, Canada, even China, would be willing to have some sort of agreement if they knew what it was and if it wasn't going to change. I think what they have to really hunker down for, and this is what will keep them opposed to any kind of deal, is if the goalpost keeps changing, if we move the ask all the time, if it's not considered a stable agreement, if we're just going to do this again in 3 years. So that's what needs to change. If we have a solid ask, then I think we get it, because we're in such a strong situation.
He's our Big Biz Show market analyst, Howie Font, with us here. So Howie, we've seen how the markets respond to positive news. If we do have that day, and maybe it's going to be Liberation Day, who knows, from President Trump, but we get the day where Canada's playing ball, Mexico's playing ball, China, you really never know with China. But would you expect that the response from the markets will be staggeringly positive?
Right. So one of the things that Sully talks about when we talk about tariffs on the show is how he thinks Trump's in control of all this. And that's because Trump is the great disruptor.
Yes.
And what's causing all this is not really so much the tariff policies in and of themselves, but like I've said before, it's the uncertainty. And Trump has the ability, like no other person on the planet, to raise the level of uncertainty in the market and lower it. So if he lowers that level of uncertainty, we're going to see the market skyrocket. I don't know if that's a one-time thing. Then we'll be able to move on and see, the merits of the policies, and that'll carry the market even further. But that's kind of the easy control that he has. And like I was saying in last week's show or earlier in the week, it doesn't really much matter for Trump because he wants interest rates lower. I mean,
Sure.
he's going to think politically. We've talked about it before. We pay more on interest payments on our debt than we do for the Department of Defense. He wants interest rates to be lower, so that amount is lower. So if the economy has a bad quarter or two and the Fed has to lower rates, that's not bad for President Trump either.
It's really going to be interesting to see what he does, in fact, in his third term when he's the president of the United States.
He hasn't ruled it out. He hasn't ruled it out.
Big Biz Show market analyst Howie Font. Howie, we'll talk to you soon, brother. Appreciate it. All right, don't you, anybody, none of you out there go anywhere. Big Biz Show returns after this. Big Biz Show rolls on wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening. As always, we appreciate you being along for the ride here. Of course, those wonderful tunes you hear in the background, that is the Day Trader Trio. Best in the business, no lessons, self-taught. Of course, here at the bar, we have our executive producer, Greg Todorov. I'm Costa. Sully will be back here in just 1 second. Also with us at the bar, he's one of our favorite guests. He's speaker, CEO, coach, and consultant, chief launch officer. He is the author of Chasing Relevance, 6 Steps to Understand, Engage, and Maximize Next Generation Leaders in the Workplace. Our good buddy Dan Negroni's here. Daniel,
hey.
How are you?
I kind of feel like I should have taken my Celsius this morning.
How about that introduction? Is he phenomenal?
There we
at introductions?
go.
Oh my God, I read it just like they write it. So I'm really good at that. Talk to us about this list that you have presented us with. And you raised a really great question when you and Greg were talking right before we came back here. Why this is not, if in fact it is, maybe it is, but most likely it's not being taught go back to high school kids.
That's the first thing is we have this hack, which is if you want to know how to interact or connect with your employees, then you ask them what they need from you.
Sure.
Not what you want to give them, not what you want to tell them, but what they need from you.
Right.
And so at the start of every class, I'm teaching strategy management, and I believe the core to strategy management, or the foundation, is understanding how to think, how to ask great questions, and how to build relationships and connect with people. So I asked them, hey, you guys are all paying me my salary. What do you need from me to be better at strategy if strategy is the basis of communication, thinking, asking great questions? And so we go around the room, and what I have in front of me, I've been using it at cocktail parties and the like to discuss, is what they told me they want to get out of the class. And I think it's pretty cool because it is what they want. As you had said, it's what they need and what they need to do, but it's also what we need to do to coach them and teach them. And so I love the list. Should we look at it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, and you can apply a game plan to anything in life if you're the coach.
Yeah.
But also, you have to interact with your players.
Got to know what your coachee needs from you, right? What the player needs.
Said game plan.
And so here's what the player needs.
All right.
26 things. There are 40 kids in a class, but some of them said the same thing. And so let's just call out how to be taken seriously and create credibility. How to have good questions, which I love. How to public speak better. How to end a conversation, which is pretty interesting. How to become an independent thinker. How to work with conflict. How to build confidence. How to build and develop a network. Well, this is good. What is strategy?
Sure.
Right? Business strategy. That was good for the class. The dean will be happy about that. How to build a relationship. How to maintain a healthy mindset. How to get an interview and a promotion. How to speak up for myself, make decisions. How to discipline yourself. How to trust your gut. How to apologize. So, look, they really want to know these core things, and they really understand what they need. However, they're not able to articulate it unless you push them and ask them in a way.
Okay, so you've got 26 there, and so someone says, let's say, how to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I can say, well, listen, don't laugh and giggle all the time and drool. Okay, but how to be taken seriously? Do you say, hey, listen, I'm serious when I'm talking to you, type of thing?
Well, only when they're not listening.
Okay.
Texting, but that doesn't happen often. We try and make it fun.
All right.
I think it's what I say as a coach or as a teacher is, what do you think? what do you think makes you be able, well, you got to know your stuff.
Exactly.
Right? You got to ask great questions. You
Okay.
got to be interested and interesting. You got to come prepared.
Right.
So, I mean, there's so many things that are just the basis. And so the question is to them, well, how many of you did that today? And every day?
Yeah.
And in your last class? And are you awake? I mean, and, you know, WTF? I mean,
Sure,
are you
sure.
going to bring that to work? And so, and what can you do to control this, which is what you were saying, right?
Right.
What's your part in figuring this stuff out? Because I'll help you, but you got to give me something. And so the cool thing is you get 26 points. You know who said what in the class. You know, do they have a confidence problem? Do they have an articulation problem? Do they have a credibility problem? Do they have unable to, you know, process information at a quick time? Do they not know how to speak well or look someone in the, I mean, so you just learn what the kids need, I shouldn't call them kids, what the students need from you.
Yeah.
And, but this is what they get to the workplace and they don't have these skills and we wonder why, because we're not focusing really on teaching them in any real curriculum in school. I mean, I'm teaching strategy management, so I think it's important that they leave from me knowing how to do all these things, be concise, speak in public. And so we have fun. I mean, they hate it. They hate coming into class and being said, you're put in groups of 5, you read a case last night, figure out something to present, you're going to present in 5 minutes, and then the rest of you are going to coach them on figuring it out. And I'm just, you know, I'm just Oprah here, helping you figure it out. I'm just going to ask questions and, you know, look good,
Sure.
make a lot of money. No, not true. None of that is true.
Dan Negroni, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, speaker, author. His website is dannegroni.com. You know, when you show us this list and you talk about what they want and what they're looking for, it just dawned on me how many of them just must shut down and internalize, because here they have all this and I need my answer, I want someone to help me or whatever, but if they're not getting it, how defeating that must be to them. And as we're in the age groups we're in, we look at them like, oh my God, you're such a slacker. You're not, you know, come on, let's go. But they must be thinking, I don't even know how to start to go, old man.
Right, I think that's or woman. Yes,
or woman.
Very true. Very true. And yeah, we're not talking to them in a way to say, what do you know? What don't you know? What do you need to know? What can we do? Okay, so you're not confident? How do we build your confidence?
Right.
What are you going to do to build your confidence? So it's such a gift to be able to be with them and see where they are as a generation. But I mean, think about the phone. And they have the answer everywhere, but the answer it's not like experience, right? Like we really learn.
It's not experience, it's not practical experience, but it's also
data.
It's words on a screen, and not saying that they always need a pat on the head or a shoulder to lean on, but sometimes they do need a pat on the head or a shoulder to lean on, going, hey, you're in the right direction.
Absolutely. People want to be seen, heard, and celebrated.
Yeah.
So they need to have a safe environment where they can speak up. They need someone to listen to them, right?
Absolutely.
Because that creates empathy and trust. And then celebration, when you celebrate or pat someone on the head, it actually releases endorphins.
Right.
So, I mean, there's like science behind this stuff, I think, that you can really get them where you need them to go. And it's really interesting to see their progression through the course and through the semester.
We've got about 30 seconds left. From where the semester started to where you are now, do you see, though, a shift where it's like the light wasn't on, there was no light, and now look at these guys, it's coming to them?
It depends on the student, but the light wasn't fully on. It was like kind of blinking for each of them. They weren't sure. And then by the middle of the semester, we just had a mentor night where 8 mentors at a business in town, Travere Therapeutics, and they went and it was amazing. They were, they had light. It was cool.
Growth is a beautiful thing. Dan Negroni, speaker, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, author of Chasing Relevance, 6 Steps to Understand, Engage, and Maximize Next Generation Leaders in the Workplace. His website, dannegroni.com. Always great to see you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Keep it right here, you. We'll do some more growing as the Big Biz Show continues after this. over 175 countries, all the ships at sea. This is the Big Biz Show. As always, a special shout out to our brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces for what they have done and what they are doing for us. Mary Godwin, Mike Costa with you. Those beautiful people on stage, that is Sullivan. 8/9 of the world famous Sullivan Band. Sully, not here today, no big deal. He'll be back here very soon. Also, Greg Todoroff.
They're both gone. What's up with them?
They call
I'll
each other.
be gone next week, though, so.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Celebrating my birthday month.
That's right. You said yesterday you're going to go to New York City to cap the month.
New York, yes.
Cannot wait.
Cannot wait.
I mean, sorry, that really sounds bad.
I know it does.
Dang.
I can't wait either, so whatever.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Can't wait for you to leave. No, can't wait for you to enjoy the time.
I thought it would be, I wouldn't get, I don't even know what term I can use here.
Ladies and gentlemen,
yes.
watching and listening in our worldwide audience, please know that Mary Godwin does not celebrate a birthday. She, like many of you out there, unfortunately, celebrate a birth month.
Yes, I do.
And it is all we have
Which
heard
I deserve with the treatment I get around here. I deserve a whole birthday month.
I agree. I totally agree. Sullivan, don't you agree with Mary?
Yes. Birthday season, birthday month.
Yeah.
The band loves me.
Birthday
The band
season.
loves me.
No, we all agree with Mary that she deserves a birthday month. One of your favorite people have decided to come on.
I do.
Knowing that
This
it, in
next
fact,
guest
is your birthday month. Corey Perlman, social media keynote speaker, of course, CoreyPerlman.com and ImpactSocialMedia.com. Back with us here to tell us how much the world is crumbling because of social media. Corey, my friend, how you been?
Always good. Happy birthday, Mary, to you. Happy birthday month, I should say.
Thank you, Corey.
All right, thanks for coming on, Corey. Appreciate it. CoreyPerlman.com.
You know what's up. This is why I like having Corey on the show.
Corey, in all seriousness, though, I spend a lot of time over on X, and it is just people just throwing hammers at each other. The gloves are off, and people are just of this mindset, the line has been drawn in the sand. That's the way I look at it. And a lot of it has to do, obviously, with the political climate in this country. You see it that way as well?
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of X, and as you guys know, you've heard me on this show many times, it really comes down to business for me.
Yep.
And none of our clients ever seem to really gain any business from X, so that's why I deprioritize it. Not to mention, yes, it has become a very dark, angry, mean place.
I know Bear's got a ton of questions as well, but I was just reading, I was going over LinkedIn, and there was a story on X about this guy who works for a company who got caught keying a Tesla. Video, the whole 9 yards. And then it said, hey, by the way, here's his LinkedIn profile. So I go over to the LinkedIn profile and, hey, so-and-so is celebrating 3 months at whatever, and there's all these, welcome to the company, Costa, or good luck to you, can't wait to work with you. And then you scroll to the bottom and it's like, goodbye, Costa, hope you had a good time, 3 months and you're gone. And it's amazing to me how people really don't judge the potential ramifications when they decide not to think in certain situations.
Amazing. I mean, these are the things that we teach our teenagers about, and yet adults seem to be breaking the rules as well. But yes, your social media post on another platform can be seen. And Mike, let me just say this. This is something that baffles a lot of people. The things you like, we can see as well. The things you like, we can see as well. Remember that.
And I've been stung by that before. You really kind of glance at something and you hit like, and then someone comes after you and says, you like cutting trees down on Arbor Day? You're a monster. And you're like, whoa, no, I thought it was a lumber company or something like that. I'm sorry, that type of thing.
So, Corey, I want to talk about businesses specifically because you were saying, maybe X is not the place for businesses. I know before a while, I would say, 7 to 10 years ago, when Twitter was alive and well, it was used a lot for customer service, and you could reach somebody right away. I remember being on hold forever on the phone, and then I just DM'd somebody on Twitter, and I got a response right away. And now that is more so. I'm actually doing that on Instagram, and I'm DMing. That's just happened to me. I can't remember who the client was or the business, but Are you, kind of recommending to businesses to stay away from X because of all that stuff now, and specifically staying towards, I think you've mentioned LinkedIn before, and what other platforms do you think they should be on?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, it's really frequent where the buyers frequent, fish where the fish are, as I like to say, and they're not on X these days. This is the bottom line, to cut it short. And yes, you're right. Back in the day, we could DM businesses on X and they would respond quite quickly, or in those cases, Twitter. Now we can do it on Instagram. You can also do it over on LinkedIn and even on Facebook. And yeah, you got a better chance of getting a response or a DM from a business there than you might over a phone call. Now, the one thing you have to worry about, Mary, of course, is the AI side. And oftentimes you're responded by a bot and you go through that whole rigmarole, and that's no fun at all.
Well, I mean, I actually just remembered the situation. It was just a dream duffel going back to my kids' dance, but it was like, I needed parts ordered. And I left 2 messages and sent them 2 customer service emails, got nothing for a week, went straight to Instagram. Within an hour, they replied, and the parts were at my door 4 days later. I mean, it happened so quickly. So I do think, the ways of the phone and email are even going to the wayside. And so it is these social media platforms. And businesses that know they need to be punched in, they have people at the ready to answer that question. I'm sure the person that was answering my DM didn't know the answer, but she knew how to get the answer quickly, right?
Could you tell it was not AI?
Yeah, I could, because it was a smaller company, and the way she phrased it, she said, email me right away. And she gave me her personal email address at the company versus just the help center, What an amazing,
you would think that would be common practice, but you telling that story on air goes to show how rare it is. Just
True.
the person-to-person connection can go such a long way in having lifelong advocates like you probably are with that company.
Corey Perlman, social media keynote speaker. He's the owner of Impact Social Media. His website's Corey Perlman. It's PERLman.com. And of course, impactsocialmedia.com. Corey, what's going on? Okay, I initially was totally against TikTok because I was led to believe this is a Chinese government asset. They're farming all of my information. They're going to use it against me, blah, blah, blah. Is that the case? And where are we, as far as the states are concerned, with TikTok right now?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that. So as of this date right now, we're still on an April 5th deadline for a U.S. company to earn at least, or to buy at least 50% of TikTok's operations, which has not happened yet.
Okay.
So unless there's another extension, something to that effect, there will be another ban in the next few weeks on TikTok. So that's where we are right now.
How about Blue Sky? Is that, I would assume since the inauguration that numbers have ticked up as far as participation on Blue Sky?
They have. Let me give you another curveball too. Not only has Blue Sky, I don't know yet, to be honest with you, Mike. I think, but the one that I would actually pay more attention for your listeners, and the one that I obviously is going to stay for a while, is YouTube. And one thing that they've done really smartly and quickly here is made it very easy to take short form video from TikTok and Instagram and easily bring it over to YouTube.
Okay.
So just in case you're afraid that your TikToks are going to go away, YouTube will make sure it's here to stay.
Is that the shorts that they have?
That's the shorts.
Yeah.
Correct.
Perfect.
Well,
how about Signal?
About his wardrobe.
How about Signal? We seeing any action over there? Just kidding.
Signal, I don't know about Signal. You tell me about that one.
It's just in the news a little bit. Anyway, what other headlines are what do you think is going to be happening in 2025?
Well, it's all about the big platforms just trying to make it harder for third-party platforms to spend time, or to get market share. So one is Instagram has recently updated their edits feature. So a lot of people have been using CapCut, which is another subsidiary of TikTok. But
that shut down when the TikTok ban happened, right?
Correct.
CapCut went dark.
Correct. So what Instagram's trying to do is make their edit features so robust that you don't have to go to a third-party site and that you can stay on Instagram the whole time. So that's a big upcoming change that's happening in April.
That would be awesome, because I notice when I'm editing in Instagram, it glitches out a lot too. So I'm hoping they fix that glitch situation, because that drives me crazy.
Yeah, I also root for the third parties. I root for the small businesses, but along comes Instagram trying to chomp them up like Pac-Man. So we'll see how it all goes.
Corey, we got about 30 seconds left. It seems like Facebook now is just one giant ad. That with ad, story about somebody, ad. It has it kind of morphed into that? Is it dead basically on the Vine?
It's not dead, but think about Instagram. Go to Instagram. 85% of the feed on your Instagram is going to be content that you are not actively following, which to me is just wild.
Love
85%?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa.
Nothing like wasting your day. Corey Perlman, social media keynote speaker, owner of Impact Social Media Incorporated. CoreyPerlman.com, ImpactSocialMedia.com. Corey, always appreciate the visit, brother. Have a good day.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Thank you, Corey.
Oh, God.
Maybe somebody gets it around here.
All right, much more to come with the Big Biz Show. Keep it right here. In over 175 countries and all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network, as always, a humble thank you to the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces for what you do, what you've done for us. Big Biz Show rolls on inside the Loft 100 studios. Costa, our executive producer, Greg Todorov, Sully and Mary are off doing something. We're holding down the fort.
That's right.
Of course, that music you hear in the background, the best, the DTT. Our next guest is Michael Farkas, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Next NRG. Their ticker symbol officially is NXXT. And I have about a gazillion questions about wireless EV charging.
That sounds cool.
My son has a Tesla, so you have a Tesla, you pull in, you get out, you plug it in.
Right.
But just being able to plug in, I'm assuming that's what we're talking.
I would assume so. Let's hear about it.
The CEO joins us right now, Michael Farkas from Next NRG. Michael, how are you? Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. If you can, give us the cliff notes on wireless EV charging, because I absolutely have no clue about it.
It's very simple. Instead of plugging in your car while you're parked or while you're driving, you'll be able to wirelessly charge your car.
So I don't have to pull in. So then I don't have to pull into a charging station. I'm just doing it as I'm humming down the road.
Yes, these are systems that will be embedded in the road or embedded in the parking spaces. You may have pads that are put on spots initially,
yeah,
but ultimately they'll be embedded in the concrete, in the roadways. And your cars will communicate with the systems. There's communication protocols for that, where literally you will drive your car, and as your car needs to fuel, it will communicate with the network. It'll authenticate the transaction. The charging networks will then dispense the electricity wirelessly, and then the car will send you a notification of exactly how much energy was used and what the cost of that charging transaction was.
And I apologize for not knowing this. How long has this technology been around?
It's actually been around quite some time. Energy transfer technology that was done wirelessly was actually invented by Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Okay.
But it's been worked on by some companies here in the United States as well as outside the U.S. But now it's time for commercialization of that technology. It's now being able to be, the energy transfer rates are powerful enough where it's now a viable solution.
And is the United States government or I guess other world governments in tune with this? Are they friends of yours when it comes to kind of advancing this technology?
Yes, there's a consensus amongst all automotive companies that wireless is the future of charging. There are some inherent issues with wired charging, and believe it or not, if you Google it, you can see there's a lot of theft. There's cutting cords. It's before the issues with Elon Musk and with Tesla.
For the copper?
Correct. There's a lot of value in the charging cords. And in addition, once you remove the cord from the equation, it's just much easier, seamless transaction that you don't have to have any touching involved whatsoever.
Listen, if I can sit on my wide behind in my car and not have to get out and do anything, I'm all about it. Michael Farkas is the founder and CEO of Next NRG. Their ticker symbol is NXXT. Michael, fill us in on what's going on with EZFill Holdings and all the different entities that are now under your umbrella.
Excellent. I just want to touch on one thing in regards to wireless charging.
Sure.
And we'll close with that. Imagine, a future when you're going to, acquire a car, whether it's new or old, and then you enter your, whether it's a credit card or your mobile platform for payments into the vehicle, and you never ever have to be involved in the transaction again. You park in a spot that allows you to charge your car, and your car, reconciles that transaction. Similarly, while you're driving down the road, there are going to be roads, highways that are going to be lit up where you're going to be able to drive your car and your car will be charged. You'll never have to be involved in the transaction again. That's really a few years away from now.
That's unbelievable. So you're working with government agencies to implant these in the roads. How far out do you have to go?
It's going to take some time. Remember, you have to rip the road to put these in, but it's not only working with the government agencies. There are standards set by SAE. There's automotive standards that have already been set. So it's not just us working with the government agencies. It's the industry itself. It is the simplest way to fuel your vehicle and ultimately a very efficient way to do so as well.
Oh, it sounds like it. That's amazing.
Michael, what's going on with EZFill?
Okay, EZFill is a business of ours where we deliver gasoline to the consumer instead of the consumer having to go travel to get gasoline. It's very, very viable for fleet operators, like large retailers, online retailers, anyone who's in the grocery business, livery, delivery, any type of business where you have vehicles that need fuel, whether it's boats, construction equipment, on heavy duty equipment, marine, literally any vehicle that needs gasoline today is a customer for us. We even do retail homes. People who have single family homes and have their own cars, their own vehicles. We go to their locations and fill up their vehicle. It is the most simplest, easiest way to fuel your car or your truck or any motor vehicle that you have. And fleet operators really, really enjoy the service. It cuts down on time being wasted, theft. And it's a system that's really gives them the ability of really managing their fuel much better than they've ever been able to do so beforehand.
If I had a nickel, Michael, for every time I've pulled into my driveway and I went, I forgot to get gas, I'll just get it tomorrow. And then I do that white knuckling as I'm driving to the gas station, Greg. Am I going to make it?
Do that anymore.
No, thank God for EZFill.
I'm going to tell you, it's amazing because the system was actually introduced to me by my son. My son had difficulties going to fill up his car, and along with everybody else in my household. And even though I was driving an EV at the time, somehow it was me who was going out there and filling up everyone else's vehicles. So my son came home one day and he's like, Dad, I solved the problem. We are no longer going to have our weekly fight. I go, are you moving out? He's like, no, there's an application for it now. I'm like, what? And he's like, literally in the driveway, I downloaded the app, I pressed a couple of buttons, and a truck came and filled up the cars in the driveway. And I was amazed. I never, ever went to a gas station in Miami since then. Ultimately, I invested in the business, bought the business, became its largest shareholder, helped them go public. And now the company is doing unbelievably well. If you look at our numbers for January and February, we blew out our prior numbers by massive amounts. We've gotten the largest retailer, online retailer in the world, who's been a customer of ours. We're expanding with them in a very big way. It's very, very exciting. We do see potentially, $100 million a year, in our fueling business.
Hey, Michael, do me a favor. Will you promise to come back on the show with us? There's so much more we want to get to, especially your work not only here in the States, but in Israel as well. Please come back on the show. We'd love to have you again. Michael Farkas, CEO, Chief Executive Officer, and Next NRG, their ticker symbol NXXT. All right, that is going to do it from here. A lot of energy going into this show. Everybody who makes it possible, we thank you. Most importantly, we thank you for